All right. Hopefully we're alive. Hopefully you can see us and hear us. Welcome to Live with Rollis. We normally have Thursday Roundtable, but we are going to have a Thursday Roundtable next week. Today I want to do a special presentation for you, and it's really based on how we can increase our applicant flow using video. Now, this is a strategy we've been using since 2016. So this is not our first rodeo, as we say down here in Texas. We've been working on it, perfecting this over the past, 6 years now. 6 years now, and things are going well, better than they ever have been, because we've learned so much over this period. Now, I want to share some of that with you, and I'll be looking out for your comments during the broadcast. Let us know where you're coming in from, what city, what state, what country. We'd love to get your feedback, your questions, your input, and really make this a lively discussion. I am going to have some slides, but I don't want to bore people with a whole bunch of slides. They're just really more just talking points about what we want to talk about at the moment. So I'll be switching back and forth between those talking points. But I'm just curious, like, what's the biggest reason why you're here today? Like, what is it that you wanted to learn about an effective strategy? How to make the videos, how often you should have the videos, what should be in the videos. I mean, all those things I want to definitely discuss with you if you're interested in those points. Now, what I'll do is probably as I see comments come in, questions come in, what I'll do is try and answer those as soon as I can. And if I can't answer them right away, I'll definitely will answer them later at the end of the presentation. But I want to go through some of the basics first. And let me bring up my first slide that I want to talk about. And that really has to do with what are the three main components of this. And the three main components I think of this are content matters, number one, frequency matters, number two, and audience matters, number three. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that one is more important than the other. They actually, all three of these are very, very important. So I don't want to discount that, but those seem to be the three I think that are the most imperative that we want to work on. So good to see you, Dr. Alexander Rosa. Welcome. In fact, I watched your show just the other day. Appreciate you being here. Good to see you as well, Deborah. All right, so let's kind of get into each of those. I want to break some of those things down. We're talking about content matters, frequency matters, and audience matters. Well, the first thing before we kind of get into the nuts and bolts of all this, what I want you to ask yourself is, what is my goal? What is our organization's goal? So if there is a set of positions that you're working on that need to be filled, they haven't been filled, you've already tried Indeed, you've already tried LinkedIn jobs, you've tried all these different job boards, but they're just not getting you the candidates you want. How do you continue to get more? Well, what a lot of organizations are doing is they're hiring sourcers to reach out individually to candidates. And that's a great position. I think it's wonderful to have those kind of folks on your team. However, what's the bandwidth of one person being able to really contact enough people in a day or a week or a month? And unlike a person, these ad platforms actually can work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there's no employee that can do that. So I think while having sourcers are good, and it's great to have sourcers, this is kind of an alternate strategy, if you will, to help you get some of those candidates that you need. Okay, so let's think about what's the goal. Who's involved in this? Who's involved in the decision-making process? Likely you're going to have a hiring manager. You're going to have, it may be an executive or it may be a mid-level manager, but a hiring manager is involved in this, generally. And then in some cases, depending on how large your organization is, your marketing department may want to get involved as well. Now, marketing, they have a different viewpoint and perspective that I think can add some value to this conversation. But when it comes to recruitment marketing, make no mistake about it, it's totally different from what they normally do in the marketing department. Because in the marketing department, they are there to try and attract as many viable patients for the practice or for the hospital as possible. And that involves having a wide brush and having a great looking, set of marketing materials that help to attract those patients in. Well, when we're talking about positions in the hospital, for example, and again, if you're not in healthcare, I think there's ways you can apply a lot of what I'm going to share with you. But the perspective and the view of what the job seeker is looking for is different from an end customer or what a patient would look for. So some of the things that marketing may be used to having in an ad or a certain look, it's different. And so if they're not experienced with that, you may have to kind of juggle the priorities of the marketing department and the priorities of actually filling the positions. Because when I've talked to nurses, if you just sent them a marketing brochure for the hospital, it just wouldn't do a lot for them, because they're working in the hospital, they're working in it where it's not always pretty. Okay, they're working in some pretty tough situations. So we want to, what the clinicians have said back to us, whether it's nurses, physicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, whoever it is, they're saying, look, we really want to see, what does my actual work environment look like? I'm not so concerned about what the waiting room looks like. So that's one of the things, actually verbatim, one of the nurses who I had when I was showing her the videos, that's one of the things she said back to me. So it's going to be a mix between function and form. You want the videos to look good. You want the videos to be professional, like you did put some effort into them, but at the same time, you want them to actually accomplish the purpose of the video, which is to attract applicants, right? Hey, Carol, good to see you. Glad to have you in here. Appreciate you being here again, once again, Dr. Rosa. Thank you so much. Okay, so the third thing is, think of the videos this way. The videos are to do one of two things. One, they're to help to expose your organization, your job, your opportunity to people who would not normally be on a job board looking for your job or finding your job. That's number one. Number two is, it gives them a better idea if they're going to actually be somewhat of a fit for your organization. So it really helps to filter in the right candidates versus the normal way we think, and sometimes in recruiting and as hiring managers, is we get a whole bunch of candidates and then we filter them out. I'm gonna work on filtering out the ones who aren't the most qualified, and then we're gonna interview the top maybe 5, 7, or 3, or whatever you decide. Well, the videos work differently. They actually help take some of that guesswork out, because a lot of people, once they see the video and not just a text, because most people, when you're looking at a job description, you're looking at just text here. You don't see any videos or pictures or anything. So as they're watching these videos, they're getting a feel for, is this the type of organization that fits me? So you want to try and be as transparent as possible. And what's going to happen is, when you do that, you're going to be rewarded by filtering in candidates that are a better fit for you. So you're going to filter in the right kind of candidates, and the folks who just says, you know what, this isn't the right kind of fit for me, they're going to filter themselves out. And so thank you, Dr. Roses. I appreciate your confirmation on that. Yeah, seeing the environment. They want to see what the actual environment looks like. I've talked to dozens of clinicians, and this is what they say over and over again. But that actually helps you, even though it might be you might feel a little vulnerable by showing that part of the hospital. But at the same time, it definitely helps to filter in the right candidates. Okay, so we found through using this strategy, that it actually helps to find those applicants that are very hard to fill, which is number 4, generating candidates for hard to fill positions. But it also, for positions that you tend to get lots of applications for, it tends to filter out some of the ones who really aren't a fit, and they won't bother to apply. They'll just keep moving on. And then some organizations want to go that extra step, and they want to give that particular candidate a feeling like they've already joined. So once they've applied and started going through the interview process, just start to make them feel welcome. That, look, this is your new home. Because really, the selling doesn't end when they apply. You have to actually sell them all the way through the start date and even beyond the start date. So that may be something you may want to think about in the future. Maybe that's not it probably isn't the reason why you clicked on this today, is that 5th point, but just in case it is, that's something I could talk about in a future show. We're just starting to kind of toy with that part of it. But mainly I'm going to get into number 3 and number 4. How can we filter in the best candidates, and how can we generate more candidates for those hard to fill positions where we're just not getting candidates at all, we're getting crickets. Okay. So now let's go with this. What do candidates want to see? And I want to ask you, Dr. Rosa, since you're on here, what types of information would you like to see? Let me know if this resonates with you. This is a report or just basically feedback that I've gotten from several clinicians. And they said that the most popular 3 things they said is they want to see who their potential hiring manager would be. They want to see who they could be working with potentially, like in terms of other peers, staff. And they also wanted to see what does the environment looks like, which I know you said that earlier, Dr. Rosa. What does the environment look like? And that would include, is it new equipment? Is it older equipment? What do the patient rooms look like? What are the operating room, if it's an OR nurse position? What's the work area like? Maybe the nurse's station, if we're talking about nurses. I know I'm saying nurses a lot. That's just a lot of the positions we work on. or in the case of physicians, showing maybe a rounding with the physicians. Whatever the case is, showing what their actual day could potentially look like in the environment. And we try and show that in all of our videos. There's some level of footage that shows what type of environment they'll be working in. And then also showing how the team members interact with each other. So that's why, going back to that rounding example, it's really good to have, like, showing the team doing a round meeting and how they're looking at and interacting and talking to each other. That gives people a good feel on whether they're a good fit for that organization. So as far as what they want to see, that's some of the main feedback I've gotten. Now, Dr. Rosa said, side note, so many healthcare organizations put so much into the design of the facility where the public sees and is in, but the areas where the employees don't look so good. That's very true. That's very true. So let me ask you this, and those of you who are watching, and Dr. Rosa, would you rather see the most beautiful parts of the hospital, or would you rather see what your potential work area looks like right now? What's more important to you when you're looking at a video? I'd love to hear that. This is also, I'm learning, this is a learning process for us too. And we've actually been looking at the numbers quite a bit. And I'm going to go into some of the numbers with you on these next couple of points I'm going to make. So one thing that comes up too is how many videos. Oh, thank you, Dr. Rose. She says real life people, situations, interactions as much as possible. Thank you. Really appreciate that. So how many videos, you may wonder? Well, what we found in doing our campaigns, we've done, we're well over 4 million views now on our videos. So we've collected lots of data. And what we found out is that most of your applicants, roughly about half of your applicants, I should say, have seen more than one video by the time they actually hit that apply button. And some of them may have seen as many as 6 or 7 videos before hitting that apply button. So that tells you something. You got to have several videos for each position. Otherwise, you don't want them to, who wants to watch the same video twice? Nobody. When you're on social media and you're on Facebook, or you're on Instagram, or I'm on TikTok quite a bit. TikTok, I've never seen them show me the same video twice. Maybe there's sometimes you'll get one twice on some other platforms, but I haven't seen it yet on TikTok. So these social media platforms are getting smarter and smarter, because they know that people don't want to see the same information twice unless they want to go back to it. Now, again, if it's a super funny video or something like that, or something just I want to share with somebody, yeah, I may go back and scroll through that. Or if it's a really short video, I may watch it in a loop a couple of times before I move on. That's true. But when we're talking about these kind of videos, recruitment videos, they're typically not going to want to watch it twice. In fact, I have actually done sessions with clinicians, and they were helping to critique our videos, and they said, wait a second, I already saw that piece of footage already. I was thinking, wow, it's just like a couple of seconds. But they noticed it, right? They don't want to see the same footage twice. So that's why we create lots and lots and lots of videos, and lots of what we call footage, or B-roll footage, which shows different parts of the hospital. So you want to have a minimum of at least 4 to run a campaign. So if you've got, let's say you got 2 physician orders you're trying to work on, and let's say 3 nurse orders, and they're all in different departments. Well, that's 5 positions. And for each of those positions need to have their own set of videos. That's probably about 20 videos you're going to want to have for those positions. Now, you may be able to get by with a little bit of overlap, right? So let's say you got a physician that's being interviewed, and let's say she's in family practice, family medicine. Well, you may be able to get away with that on a pediatric physician order as well. And you can use the same methodology with nurses. But in a lot of cases, you just want to have lots of extra video. Also, what we found, and I see hospitals, we used to do it, guys, too, so don't feel bad about this if you have it already. I've seen lots of videos that have 2-3 minutes. I've seen as many as 9-minute videos. To get away with a 9-minute video and for someone to actually watch it, it has to be, amazing. And just know that most people are still not going to watch it. They're going to click off of it. So I don't really even see the point of having a video that's much longer than about 2 minutes at all, unless it's just an amazing video. I've seen a lot of videos recently that I could tell they put a lot of work. I was looking at a website yesterday. I don't want to name the company. It's a very reputable company, and they have great content overall. But they must have had like 10 videos on their website, and they all were like 2 minutes long. people just are not going to watch that. I'm sorry. They're just not going to watch the whole thing. What they're going to do is they're probably going to watch maybe the first 30 seconds, and they're going to decide whether they're going to want to apply or not. So what ends up happening is 75% of your video just ends up not getting seen. What I would suggest, and what we finally did, is we started making our videos this year. Generally, they're about a minute or less. Some are as short as 30 seconds. Some have been like around a minute and 8 seconds, a minute and 9. And I'll also add this too. If you have the video, and this for those of you who are marketers as well, if you're trying to market on, let's say, TikTok, for example, you're going to get a warning message if that video is longer than 1 minute. They'll let you push it through if you're going to advertise it, but it's not really going to be pushed as much as if you have it as a minute or less. They find that they get better results at that point. On a platform like YouTube Reels, if you're familiar with YouTube Reels, it has the portrait style like what you see me in now. My section is portrait, and then you got the slides to my left. But they only allow 1 minute. So if it's longer than 1 minute, then you're already, you can't even really post it on Reels. It's too long. So in order to have a good campaign, you want to make sure that your portrait videos are definitely a minute or less. And to be really exact, it's 59 seconds. Once you hit 60 seconds, it automatically puts you at a disadvantage. So try and make all of your videos 30 seconds to 1 minute. And going back to my original question is, why are you making the videos? Is it to look pretty on your website, or is it to actually get applicants? Because if you're just going to have them on your website and they're like 2 or 3 minutes long, I mean, it looks pretty, but it's not really going to get you more applicants than what you're already getting. What I'm showing you here is actually going to get you more applicants than what you're getting now. You also want to make sure it's formatted to each ad platform. I don't want to get too much of a detail on the sticker on the different formats, but I'll just tell you a broad base. If you're going with LinkedIn, you're going to want to have your videos portrait like this, as well as the widescreen version. And then on YouTube and Google, you're also going to want to have it in both. But then in TikTok, just in portrait, and probably Instagram, I would say in portrait mode as well. And when I say portrait, when you see me in this frame right here, this is more of a portrait style. But when you look at the whole screen like this, I'll show you. When you look at it like this, then that's what we call widescreen. So you want to have your videos in both formats whenever you're running your videos. All right, so I've been talking so much. I want to take a little break here, make sure I take in if there's any other comments that you have. If any comments, questions so far, please let me know. I'm going to be getting into how you going to format the videos. And I'm also going to be covering what they want to hear in the videos as well. Okay, so a couple of things really quick is, if you are just posting your videos and you're not actually sponsoring them on the ad platforms, they're basically not going to get seen. Okay. And maybe a few people will see it, whoever's in your network. If you've been really cultivating your network a lot, you've been getting lots of engagement on your post, and yeah, maybe you might get a few hundred people to look at it. But to generate just one candidate, if we're talking about physician orders, we're running some numbers today. You may have to have as many as 8,000 to 10,000 views on your videos just to get one applicant. So if you're just posting videos, like you're taking this video, you're just posting on your profile and you're trying to get applicants, please do not be surprised if you get 0 applicants off of that, because it really takes more views than that to get people's attention. There's just so much going on, all the current events we have going on, people's lives, are they're definitely involved in their own lives and their own families, their own friends. So again, all these messages coming in, and you're just not going to make an impact with your 1 or 2, organic posts on LinkedIn. It's just the way it is. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and post a job on your website and see how many you get after you do a few of those. Maybe your first one, you might get a good amount of folks who say, yeah, I like, and all that. But after you do several of them in a row, you're going to see it's the law of diminishing returns. You're not going to get near as many people. So you need to really sponsor these ads on the ad platform you're using. LinkedIn is a good one. We use quite a bit. We also use Google and YouTube quite a bit. And of course, now we use TikTok. We have not been using Instagram and Facebook as much recently. If anybody has questions as to why, I'll feel free. I'll be glad to answer that question. But if you don't care, if you just want to just get to the results, those are the best ones I would say to use. All right. So, here's one thing I forgot. I got to tell you the funny little story. So, we were wondering at one time why are people go to the website and not watch some of the videos we had. And so I was actually interfacing with a nurse at one time. We were going through several things about the website. I asked for her critique of the website for the client we're working with. And it was just killing me because we had all kind of videos everywhere. She never pressed play on any of the videos. And I just got to the point where I had to ask her. I was like, why? I'm just curious, like, why are you not clicking on the videos? She goes, oh, I didn't even notice. I'm just so used to them playing on their own. And it's like, ding, a light went off. Okay, so social media has trained us so much that we've gotten to the point now where we're not even used to pressing play on a video. Have you ever done that? Have you ever? I know I have. Where I'm just used to the video playing. So what we've done is we make all of our campaigns on all of our websites, anyone we're doing, we pick the option where the video automatically plays. We're not waiting on them to press play. So I would definitely suggest that when it comes to running your campaigns. Thank you, Dr. Rose. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Great tips. Thank you. Portrait widescreen. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Sponsored ads. Yep. That's it. So I would suggest to use sponsored ads. Make sure you upload the widescreen and the portrait versions to your campaign so that no matter whether you're using an iPhone or if they're using a tablet or a desktop, whatever they've got, you're able to show your videos and that they automatically play. So that just blew me away. Okay, I'll give you one more story. One time I was shadowing another nurse, getting her feedback on videos. And she was like, this video doesn't have captions on it. I don't even watch videos that don't have captions. Wow, really? Are you serious? She says, yeah. Whenever I watch videos, I always have the sound off. Ding. I was like, wow. So a lot of our videos were not getting watched just because we didn't have captions on them. Now some of these platforms, you can turn captions on or off, but she wanted them burned into the screen. So guess what? If you look at our videos, if you look at any of our recruitment videos, you can go to HR Maximizer, our company page, and you can look at our videos. All of them have burned in captions. When I say burned in captions, that means you cannot turn the captions off. They're in the video itself. So we've done that many, many times, and it works extremely well. I found out later after doing some research, videos with burned in captions are 70% more likely to get watched than videos who don't have captions. Yes, you can turn them on some of these, but I'm just telling you, there's a lot of people out there who will not bother to take the time to figure out how to turn on their captions. You just need to have them burned in. I can tell you, I'd say 90% of the videos I've seen from hospitals do not have captions burned in. We learned that a few years ago. So it's just some of these things. Getting people's feedback has been so valuable, just like I'm doing with Dr. Rosa right now. She's giving me great feedback on what works. If you're not doing this, ask your target audience to look at your videos and give you feedback. That's one thing I would definitely suggest. We do that with our clients. We're constantly getting feedback on how we can make these videos better because the market is constantly changing. All right, so let's move on. Hopefully this is helping so far. All right, so what do they want to hear? We've gotten this feedback from clinicians as well. One of the things that a lot of clinicians, they get, just I noticed something here. Hopefully I didn't lose sound just now. All right. So one of the things that we've been noticing a lot from our clients, what they want to hear, or our candidates, I should say, is that they want to see and hear things that have to do with these three subjects here. Okay. Career progression. Why should I want to work in that department, not just that company? See, a lot of these videos that I see with hospitals, and just in general, recruiting videos, they focus on the company. But a lot of cases, the real culture that affects that employee is going to be in their department. So yes, you may have a great company and they're just totally awesome, but what about that department that that person's going to work in? How awesome is that department? So you want to clearly show that in the video. Okay. So why they want to work in that department, and then also why would they want to work for the company? You notice I put that last. They're assuming that your company is good. Most companies are. So they're just assuming that. So that's not a differentiator. Just saying we're an awesome company and we're amazing and all that, that's not a differentiator. Every company says they're amazing, and a lot of them are. There's a lot of amazing companies. And all of them say they have like a awesome culture. We're like a family here. They all say that. But what's going to be a differentiator is, will you actually help this person progress in their career? And how will that department's culture fit them? So, the culture of an organization sometimes is different from what it is from the department. In a lot of cases, who is it that determines the culture of the department? Well, let's just be real. Is it not the manager? Right? Because you can have an amazing culture, but if your hiring manager is not someone you gel with, that's not going to be a great culture for you. Let me know if I'm right or if I'm wrong in the comments. Okay, so oh yes, Dr. Rollis says unit and culture. So I'm glad that resonates with you too. So it's the culture of the unit, not just the culture of the organization, that really matters, and you want to be able to really clearly communicate that in the video. So those are the three things. So let me give you some examples of how you can show number one, career progression. How about if you have a person who's in a management position or an elevated position, but they started out in this position down here? If you have an interview with that person and they're talking about their growth throughout the organization, you nailed it. You've already shown career progression. You've shown someone who perhaps even looks like them, maybe they're in a similar age group, that progressed to the goal that they want to attain, and they can get a head start on that goal by joining your organization and your department. So that's one way, just one way you can show career progression. And if you show that clearly in a video, let me ask you this: what carries more weight? If I show you like a long, dissertation on how we've helped X amount of percentage people to have progression in their career, or if I showed you one example of one person that you resonate with that was able to progress in their career at that organization, which one would carry more weight? Which one would carry more weight? In most cases, they'll say it's a story of that one person. Well, Dr. Rosa, she brings up another great point. Thank you for that. She's advancement and what other benefits do they offer? So that is another thing you definitely want to feature in some of your videos. I did not have it listed here, but that is something that we do with all of our clients. We make sure that we have videos that talk about the benefits. Now, what's interesting though, is what benefits matter to you as the organization that you may have invested a lot of time and money in. They may not be that important to your employees. And you'll be able to find that out when you interview those employees for these videos. Because if you just leave it open and ask them, what benefit do you value the most at working here? And then sometimes they'll surprise you with some of the answers they give you. They're not some of the ones you would think. You may have these amazing programs. So when you're doing these interviews, it may actually give you an opportunity to see which benefits you have that your employees that are happy about working there, that they value the most. So it actually may help you. It's kind of an unintended consequence, but we've actually had that happen in a couple of cases where we're asking questions, what's your favorite benefit about working at X company? And they come up with some answers that the client just didn't even think about. So hopefully that'll help too. Thank you for adding that, Dr. Rosa. Appreciate that. Okay, now the other question you may have is, what types of positions does this work for? I'm listing for you the positions that we've done it for. So I'm going to suggest to you there's virtually no position I think that this wouldn't work for. Okay, virtually every position this can work for. And if you have a minimum of, like I said before, a minimum of 4 videos, that's a bare minimum. We like to have anywhere between 8 to 12 videos for a campaign. But bare minimum would be 4 videos for an ad campaign, and you're running it, you're sponsoring those ads through that platform, and you're speaking to some of those issues I mentioned about earlier. And you can recruit with those videos entry level, licensed professionals, all the way up to the C-suite. We've done the C-suite a couple of times. Actually, just in the past year, we've filled a few C-suite positions. So it just goes to show you this definitely works And these weren't necessarily particularly small organizations either. This can work on pretty much virtually any size organization. It can work on virtually any type of position, whether it's entry level. And I got to tell you right now, there's a lot of hospitals that are struggling even with entry level positions because these people have more choices now than they had 2 years ago. Like if they want to work from home, they can work from home in a lot of places. Whether they can work from home from your hospital or not, there's somewhere that they can work from home for. So if that's important to them and your positions require that they be in the office, then it's just going to limit your candidate pool. If we're talking about nurses, if your place has specific shifts that they have to work and certain restrictions, and there's other places they can work where they don't have those same restrictions, they have more choices now. So it's going to be hard to get them in. So that's why we're saying you want to really speak to what's unique and good about your particular department, where your job is, talking about career progression, all these things to help, flexibility, any of those things you can have that you can offer to that candidate that they're perhaps not getting where they are. Another thing too I want to suggest is if you're going to be recruiting out in the marketplace and you're having a hard time with it, is there a way you can show career progression from the first day? So for example, if you're recruiting for, I'm going to give you an example. Let's say it's a chief medical officer. Would you be willing to take someone who has never been a chief medical officer, but maybe they've been an assistant or an associate chief medical officer, or maybe they've been a chief clinical officer at a smaller organization? So that would help them in terms of getting them some career progression on the first day that they took the job. Okay, Dr. Rosa says, works for all positions. Thank you. Show how they support career wellness. Thank you. That's a great point. That's another thing I didn't have listed, but I would say yes. If you show ways that you're caring for the provider, which is that fourth part of the continuum, right? Caring for the caregiver. If you can show wellness and how that's important to the organization to make sure that their employees are well taken care of, and you can show that in video, and I would suggest doing it by way of interviews and B-roll footage, boy, I'll tell you, that will definitely help. Okay, she says, this is good, Dr. Rosa. Yes, show people at nighttime, the night shift routine. That is a good one. We have not done that yet. We need to do that. Thank you for that. See, I knew I was gonna get something out of doing this. You actually enriched me on that. We're gonna do a nighttime one of these days. Okay. But you know what we have done? Here's what we have done, Dr. Rosa. We have actually taken folks from the night shift to come in, or either a day off or after they just finished a shift, they would actually go home, get dressed, whatever, and come back, and we would do an interview with them. So we have had some night shift managers and night shift nurses, but we haven't done it at night. Now that would be interesting. Okay. My last slide I want to show you is one of the things you may be wondering is, wait a second now, how do I know a lot of these folks are going to be qualified for the job? Okay. And that's a valid question. How do we know that these folks will be qualified for the job? Well, let me show you a little slide here. This is recent data I'm giving you here, guys. This shows how effective this can be. And this is based on hundreds of applications we got for a particular client we're working with. And we love working with this guy. But anyway, as the applications were coming in, we wanted to just do a test, kind of an audit, and see how many of these applications were actually qualified for the job. And one of the things that we noticed in the job descriptions, those postings, was that they required the person to be an RN and to have 1 year of experience. When we look at the numbers, it's so small, you may not be able to see it. When we look at the numbers, just know this: over 84% of those applicants had an RN and 1 year of experience. So this right here, and guys, you guys know how tough it is to recruit some of these guys. So in fact, let me give you some statistics here. Here's some statistics on nurses. There's 4.2 million RNs, 950,000 of them are LVNs also. So it's roughly about 5 million people in the US that are nurses per se. About 4 million are licensed RNs. Now, if you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which I've done many times, they'll tell you usually about 2.9 million nurses are actually working at a facility as a nurse. So those other million people are either semi-retired or they are, I don't know, maybe they're selling, medical devices or something like that, but they're not practicing as a nurse, okay? So there's really only about 2.9 million of them that are actually working. And then an additional 950,000 they're saying that are licensed as LVNs or LPNs. But I can tell you that probably out of those 950,000, there's probably a lot of, in fact, I spoke to a couple of them last year that aren't actually practicing as LVNs, they're in management. So once you take all those folks away, it truly is a shortage. But even with that being said, there's 4 times as many nurses than there are physicians. There's between 900,000 and 1 million physicians in the United States. So we have a finite small amount of people. So here's one question I'll pose to you is, from a marketer standpoint at a hospital, their view is to market to everybody, right? But when you're recruiting, you don't want to market to everybody. In fact, you're just going to waste a lot of money because literally, if we're looking at these stats here, only, let's scroll down, we can see a little better. Only 4.2 million people even have a license as an RN. There's 328 million people in the United States. So we're talking like, I don't know, is that like 1% of the population can even qualify for the job? So you don't want to advertise the 99%. You just want to advertise to the 1% that are the nurses, okay? So keep that in mind. Know your numbers, know who your target audience is, so that when you're advertising to the right people, and you're not wasting a lot of money advertising to people who are just have no business even applying for your job just because they're not a nurse or they're not a physician or whatever. I don't know if you're a software developer. I was curious how many software developers are in the United States. Well, there's 4.4 million people at my first check. So out of 328 million people, only 4.4 million people are software developers. So that's a small percentage of people. There's no reason why you would want to advertise to the entire United States about your software development job. You want to find those 4.4 million people and advertise just to those people. Okay. Oh, one more thing I'll show you. Here's the thing I found on the physicians. It was just today we're looking this up. 938,000 active physicians that are MDs or DOs in the United States. Roughly 600,000 are MDs. This right here just shows you what I'm talking about. There's a finite amount of people. I don't care what you're recruiting for. Find out how many of those people exist in the area that you're recruiting for. Now, some of you may be in an area where you're like, look, we're not going to relocate anybody in here, okay? They've got to be local. Well, that makes your pool even smaller. So you just got to really make sure that your target strategy is sound so that you can get these folks in the door. Well, listen, you guys, this has been fun. Thank you, Dr. Rollis. You really helped me out. You really helped us make this program great with all of your feedback. And some of you others who are watching, feel free to let me know later what you think of the program. Let me know right now. Give me a like or a celebration if you enjoyed what you heard and saw. Even if you're watching the replay, I'd love to get your feedback. And man, I hope the best to you in recruiting. If you need some help, if like a lot of this stuff sounded good to you and resonated with you, and it's something you want to implement, but you want a little help with it, this is what we do 7 days a week and twice on Sunday, okay? So feel free and reach out to us at hrmaximizer.com. You can set up an appointment for us to talk about your particular needs and how we might be able to help you with your recruiting needs, your organization, help you fill some of those hard to fill positions that we know are out there. Anyway, thanks. Appreciate all of you. Look forward to you, Dr. Rollis, being on the show soon. I know we've got you on the schedule, and look forward to all of you who are watching for your feedback and comments as well. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. By the way, let me know what you think of the background music and picture and sound if everything looks good. We're probably put that into it.